Welcome to the Fantasy Happy Hour. Fantasy Happy Hour. Presented by Sportsneak. With your hosts, Justin Sauce and Terry Licious. Starting in 3, 2, 1.
Boom. We're now 1-1 on the year, Tarin. You're coming in as the loser today, obviously. I beat you almost double. I think I over doubled your points last week. You had some terrible luck with Dalvin Cook being out. Hate to see it, really, but we got some exciting games this Sunday. I can't really take you too seriously with this, but you do have to do the hot challenge. So let's see what you got here.
It's like a tub of hot sauce. I don't want to pour it on the computer.
It looks pretty empty, I'm not gonna lie, but
it's like half full, but it's hot.
I was expecting to be a little bit more full, so this could be moderately disappointing, but let's see.
Do you want me to chug it right now?
Yeah. We should have made you throw a shot of tequila in that. That might have been a little bit worse.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, well, I'll just jump into this week's picks. Of course, although we are going head to head, these are our favorites for DFS, DraftKings, FanDuel. I'll hop right into QB here, and I'm going right back to where, sometimes I shine by actually watching a few of the games. Sam Darnold versus the Cowboys. He's been unbelievable this year. What a turnaround. 23.3 average fantasy points per game. He's got 3 rushing TDs this year already. 2 of them last game versus Houston. That one hurt to see. Carolina is just looking dominant all around. Good start. And this game versus Dallas, I think, is going to be an exciting one. And another one with, CMC out. Can Sam Darnold continue pulling Panthers through?
I think he's going to have to be honest, but I'll take that as a bounce over. I went home bias, and probably the most underrated QB of the year so far this year, and that's Kirk Cousins for the Minnesota Vikings, 6,400. He is sneaky playing some of the best football he's played. I mean, sometimes when you watch him, it gets hard. You think, hot sauce challenge here. And sometimes you think he holds the ball too long, but so far this year he's 8-0 TD to interception rate. He's averaging about 26 DK points per game. And Dalvin Cook being out didn't hurt him. Alexander Madison comes in, plays the exact same role. So there's lots of passing work to running backs, safe outlets. And you'll see I'm going to stack them up later with a weird pick coming in. It'll be deeper in my lineup. But I like Kirk Cousins. I like this Minnesota team into Cleveland. I think this is a high-scoring game too. So I really like that game overall as a good stack. Running over to running back, Javonte Williams. And I'm sure a lot of people have heard of this guy, but he's the Denver kind of second running back, and they play Baltimore this week. So MG3 is actually getting less work. Well, more work in the game, but he's also doing all the work when they're grinding down the clock instead of this kid. But this guy is a kind of a rookie coming in, and he's actually seeing the same amount of playing time and field time as Melvin Gordon. He's just getting the ball a little less, but he's also starting to tick up and get more of that beginning of the game, early down work, and a lot of the passing game goes to this guy. So look for Javonte Williams to kind of come in with the youthful legs and take over this backfield. And it sounded like that's their plan, but since they have Melvin Gordon for one more season there in Denver, they're going to run him out. And for his price at $5K, I think he's the min price for a running back or close to. 14 touches per game so far, and he's averaging about 9.2 fantasy points. But if he gets a TD this week, you're already tripling what his salary's worth, so that's already going to pay off. So pass that back to you there, Justin.
I'm going all the way down to the Kraken, and I'm going with Chris Carson. Seahawks versus San Francisco 49ers. The Kraken joke was a hockey joke. Hopefully some of you guys get it. 15 fantasy points per game. A little bit under what I expected him to be at for fantasy points, considering the price tag. But last week had a great week. 80 yards on 12 attempts, 1 TD. It's just one of those picks where you just got the gut feeling and you got to go for it. I think it's going to be an exciting game, and I want to see Russell give it to him.
Are we bouncing back to me, or
No. I'll keep going. I was letting that one marinate for a second, but okay. I'm going southeast here, and we're going all the way down to Arizona. I'm going with D Hops. DeAndre Hopkins versus the Rams this week. He had a very underwhelming week last week. So if anyone got caught playing him, he only got 5 fantasy points, which has got to hurt for the $8,000 price tag, and only 21 yards. But this game, this one I think is going to be the high scoring one. There's going to be a couple, but this is one of the ones I think is going to be very high scoring. And if Arizona wants to win this and keep up with what Stafford and Cooper Kupp have going, it's going to have to be D-Hop and Kyler Murray. And that's what I'm banking on. DeAndre is, priced a little bit less. I think he dropped down to 4th highest instead of usually the top spot. And Cooper Kupp's right up there. And so I'm just going on that side of the ball this week and going over to the good old faithful DeAndre Hopkins. Where are you at, Tim?
Challenge the Jalen Ramsey shadow there. So
yeah, they're all
should have some fun luck. Yeah. But wide receiver, I went over to a guy who kind of let down a bit. He still scored 11 DK points last week, but going to the Washington football team here, they get Atlanta. Cake matchup. Atlanta's D's been probably the worst thing in a few seasons. So Terry McLaurin for the Washington football team. This feels like his spot. It's kind of like one of those mountains or kind of volcanoes waiting to explode with him. He had a great game there in week 2 and then 2 kind of mediocre weeks. So he's averaging about 17 DK points and, 7 targets per game with Heineke in. He is the big play guy. He's the guy who's going to get the 10 or the explosive game. So that's where I like picking these really bad matchups and just playing the guy you expect to be the best guy on the field, which is this offense is Terry McLaurin. And then bouncing down, I got my stack partner here at tight end. We're rolling right in, and my stack partner was Kirk Cousins. I went, I got a lot of weird guys this week, but I went Ty Conklin off his hot week there last week.
Are you talking about ex-Edmonton Oiler Ty Conklin?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Justin. But he's 3,500, so really cheap. Cleveland used to be the flow chart defense for tight end scoring, and this guy's taken over as the number 1 tight end here. Ride the hot week until it sucks, is what I say. Like Tyler Higbee, he had the letdown after, and then last week again he's back up, but he was 4K. So when you can get a guy that's cheap in a game you expect to be high scoring, go for it and ride his heat, because why not? 7 for 70 and a touchdown last week. Should have almost had 2, but he got stopped on the 1. 13 receptions overall in 2021. So at a $3,500 price tag, that's about 4 and a bit per game. I like it. Go there, stack them with Cousins, the Vikings are very kind of good to stack this year. Great fantasy team. So my bias is weighing in, but great for DK. So go for it.
Awesome. Well, that's a pick I didn't expect to hear this week. I'm going to a pick that we haven't talked about at all so far this season, but he's activated. I'm going to Zach Ertz versus Kansas City. He's playing right now. He's already got a TD. He's at 11 fantasy points. Obviously with Jalen Hurts, you got either Ertz or Goddard. You kind of got 2 weapons on tight end there. And I imagine they're going to be flipping back and forth between who's having the opportunities week to week. But with Zach Attack back in it now and him having a good night here, the only downside might be the short week might be a little bit much, although it's not that short. But that's where I'm going on my tight end side. Hopping over to defense. This is where I just always take the guess and the shot, save some money. Don't ask me why, but I'm going Detroit Lions. They're cheap on the floor, but they've been playing some pretty good football, actually. 4 sacks, 1 interception last week versus Baltimore, and that heartbreaker of a loss with the record longest field goal by
Justin
Tucker, 66 yards, just insane. Lions, they're cheap. The Bears have been, been playing okay, but with just these rookie quarterbacks, Justin Fields, hope make him make a couple mistakes and the defense pays off a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of took a similar logic, pretty cheap, not quite the 2K, but I went 2,600. It's funny you pick Sam Darnold. I'm going right against him with the Cowboys defense. They're playing tonight, and as you said, 2 picks, I think 4 sacks on Jalen Hurts. They look pretty strong, and they're talking a lot on the actual coverage about how they've drafted defense for the last 2 seasons. So they're really trying to amp this defense up. And they look really good. They look really fast, especially the linebackers there. So I like this in a matchup where you basically take the running game right out of the game. So now you just, shell the coverage on the outside and just, this should help them, especially against Darnold, who's been prone to seeing ghosts and, throwing up some curveballs out there straight to the other team. So I like the Cowboys at that price. I think it's just an underprice. And then I'm going to the creme de la creme, the fantasy happy hour special. And I'm going to a guy who gets so many targets for 1 yard that I just thought his floor was too good to pass on. That's Jalen Waddell for Miami. This guy, he gets Indy this week. I don't think this guy catches a pass longer than 6 yards. I think he catches more than behind the line of scrimmage. He had 12 receptions for 58 yards last week. 12 receptions for 58 yards. Like, that's averaging I think under 5 yards per catch. Like, it's the lowest ADOT I've seen of any receiver, but 12 in full PPR is 12 points. So you'll take that. If he gets in the end zone on a 1 yard catch, I don't really care. That's probably a 20-point game. So I just like the usage. And with Jacoby, he looks like he just chucks to him all the time. He's under a lot of pressure there now in Miami. Their offensive line is not playing well. So he's throwing these quick little screen things, and that seems to be Jalen Waddell's, spot. So 22 targets already this season. Just run with Jalen Waddell. He's cheap, 4,900. He needs those. If he gets 12 receptions, he's already paid off that salary. So that's where I went. What about you, Justin?
Yeah, I kind of threw a shot here. I went to a pick that I really want to see have some success, $5,600. And while he has the opportunity, I hope he makes the most of it, and that's Tuba Hubbard. So they're playing Dallas. I'm going back against the defense. I kind of hope he gets just the TD last week, 10.9 fantasy points when he had to take over the role for CMC. He was hurt, 52 yards and 11 carries. I mean, for the rookie, he's looking pretty good. And a little bit high on the price sheet, but I think it's just because he's at number 1. So they jacked the price up a little bit. But I'm just banking that Sam maybe lets him doesn't take 2 rushing TDs and hands one off to Chuba there. So,
yeah.
But thanks for watching. The Sunday one has been eventful. Hopefully, maybe we'll get some people in here to do a challenge. Like maybe we'll have the showdown here, and if someone feels brave enough to challenge Tarin to some fantasy picks, we'll get a little wagers, or maybe we'll do a King of the Castle thing here between you and or something like that. Maybe we'll get both of us going against people. If they beat both of us, then I don't know. We'll have to make it a little bit. We could do a few things with this, but I like it. But yeah, let us know who you're picking. Let us know how last week went, and give us a like and subscribe and follow us for some more.